Well, hello everybody. I'm trying things a little differently today. Instead of trying to go off of a prepared script, I'm doing more of a ad lib type thing, just going over a couple of topics instead of just trying to focus on one as well. The two topics I want to talk about. The first one, and I'm sure not a lot of people have heard about, is Maxine Watters as again advised her constituents, followers, whatever you want to call them, to knock off the president. Uh, the other topic I want to talk about is, of course, Brett Kavanaugh. I know everybody's talking about it, but it's a major topic, especially for conservatives, because if Kavanaugh gets appointed to the Supreme Court, we have a chance for a conservative Supreme Court. I'm not saying we're going to repeal Roe versus Wade and all of these other things, because that's not going to happen. He's already said that's not going to happen. But we have a chance to make sure the country does not take a very socialist or a communistic bent in the future. And that is incredibly important for conservatives. So, let's get to it. The first thing I want to talk about is going to be Maxine Watters. She was getting a diversity award, of course, and at this award, she said, "There are those who say, what if we get rid of him? Then we've got that vice president, and he'll be worse. I say, knock off the first one, and then go after the second one." Now, I'm sure, like the author of this story, she's going to say, well, I didn't mean to knock off. I didn't mean in the criminal sense. And I'm using that in place of the two words that could probably get this video banned if I said them and post this to YouTube. This, again, remember, this is the second time Maxine Watters has essentially advised her constituents, her followers, to commit crimes. And in this case, this is a felony because you are saying you want them to criminally do something against the president and vice president. And it's also very important to remember that in California, a Republican congressional candidate for the state level by the name of Rudy Peters was confronted by a knife-wielding leftist, I guess is really the only way to say it, screaming, F Trump, and Mr. Peters had to literally use a folding chair to defend himself. And we can only say that this is possible because of the violence that is coming out of the Democratic political leadership. And it is violence. Let's not sugarcoat it. They are calling for violence against conservatives. And we, as conservatives, need to remember that. I don't remember at any time under the President Obama's administration where conservative leadership said, let's do a criminal action against President Obama. Yet, here we go with the liberals, the leftists, doing exactly that. Now, I could be wrong. Now, and I'm not going to deny that there were probably some very off human beings that did say something to that effect. But I'm saying conservative leadership. I'm talking senators, congressmen, people of that nature. That did not happen. They did talk about resistance to the president. Yes, it is the right of Republicans to resist Democrats, just as it's the right of Democrats to resist Republicans. What is not right is for one party to advocate violence against the other party. And we are seeing that by and on the right or on the left is literally advocating for physical violence against conservatives. You have representatives like Keith Ellison, who supports Antifa. You have other Democrats who actively support Antifa. You have the Democratic chairman for the Democratic Party supporting Antifa. Now, these are groups that have advocated for physical violence, and we have seen the physical violence. And is it going to get better? No, it's going to get worse, especially if the Republicans keep the majority in the House and the Senate. Again, it's going to get worse. And I don't think the leftists, the Democrats, realize what kind of storm they're advocating bringing down on them. Because eventually, conservatives will say enough is enough. And when that happens, conservatives will start fighting back. And I'm not saying they're going to start the fights, but I am saying they will finish the fights. And when that happens, the leftists and the Democrats will be unprepared, and they will start screaming bloody murder. But we have to remember, they started this. And as John Rambo said, they drew first blood. They drew first blood. And they're going to hate what happens when we start fighting back. So I will link to the article. A lot of people are going to deride it because it is from InfoWars, but this did happen. There is a clip on it where you can actually hear Maxine Watters saying, we need to knock off President Trump and then go after the second one, okay? So this is not just some off-the-wall Alex Jones conspiracy. This is an actual statement. It was said. She did say it. And not one of the ABC mainstream news networks, including Fox, has been covering this. Not one. So it is important that we as conservatives get this out. This is the Democrat Party now. They are coming after conservatives, and they are coming after Republicans. So be ready. Please give me your comments, suggestions, what you feel about this. I know I don't have a lot of followers. I think I have one right now. But as I'm hoping more will start joining. But please give me any feedback you have on this. Tell me what you think, because it is dangerous. This is incredibly dangerous. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, Brett Kavanaugh and the woman that is accusing him of allegedly assaulting her while at a at a party more than 36 years ago. Now, this is, again, more than 36 years ago. So, how is this even a story? You have Keith Ellison, who less than or maybe just over a year ago, is accused of beating his girlfriend to the point that she went to the hospital. She talked to her bosses. She talked to her friends. She has photographs of the abuse. She has medical statements of the abuse. This is not being talked about at all in the media. It's all Brett Kavanaugh, which, based on a he said, she said, and as more and more comes out, it seems that Professor Ford, all of her witnesses, all of her facts are being reputed. I think it's reputed, I'm sorry. She has now decided that she is not going to testify under oath on Monday. Does anybody have a problem with this? I mean, it's just disgusting that this kind of slander can happen again to a conservative, but a liberal, a Democrat, a black male Democrat can get away with something that is verifiable. There is physical evidence of it, and he is getting a pass. And not only is he getting a pass, the Democratic Party is trying to silence his accuser. So, again, the hypocrisy on the left. First, you have the left telling their constituents, their followers, to physically attack or even possibly murder Republican and conservatives, and nobody says anything. But you have a woman and her incredibly liberal Democrat-supporting attorney saying this must be investigated, this must be done now. The vote must be withheld until the FBI investigates. That last is just ridiculous, considering the fact that Judge Kavanaugh has undergone 6 background investigations, and that's important. Realize it's 6. And these are deep background investigations because this man had security clearance similar to what the president had. And they don't give that clearance away. They don't. So the man is just, it's amazing that the Democrats can do this and try to say, I'm sorry, we need to hold this off. It's just disgusting. It's typical leftist behavior, typical Democrat behavior. Hopefully those Republicans, Senator Susan Collins, Senator Flake, those will stop calling for an investigation and start saying enough is enough. No, we're not going to do this. We're not going to hold this. We are going to go ahead with the vote, and Judge Kavanaugh gets elected. You also need to remember that the background on this was that Senator Feinstein got this letter from Professor Ford back in July. If she had turned it into the FBI like she should have done, the investigation could have been completed and could have been ready for the Judge Kavanaugh's hearings. But she didn't. And it's just amazing that she's not being hammered for that. That she is being told that she is essentially saying she didn't have the information, the woman didn't want to do this. That's beside the point, because the FBI could have conducted their investigation without her identity being released, without anything about her being released. It could have been conducted in private, in confidence, and it did not happen because she did not do this. And that has got to be almost a criminal act on Senator Feinstein. It just goes to prove that the Democrats are looking just to delay this hearing because they're hoping to God that they can retake the Senate and the House and try, 1, to block his appointment, and 2, to impeach Trump. So it's just amazing. And even now, after doing the research for this morning, news stories are coming out that she acknowledged she can't remember some of the details from the incident. That And we are finding out that more and more details are changing, and that so-called witnesses who were going to support her are withdrawing their supports. We even now have Democratic senators canceling fundraisers with Professor Ford's attorneys. It's just this story just is falling apart, yet it doesn't seem to be reported that way. It seems to be it's getting stronger. All of this information is going to come out. It's just a joke. Remember, it's just a joke. It is a delaying tactic, and we as conservatives need to say, no, reach out to your representatives. Reach out to your people, your senators, your representatives. Tell them they have to request a vote. And if the Judiciary Committee will not approve them, and remember this, he does not need to be approved by them. It can go to the Senate for a vote without their approval. It has happened. It's happened twice in my lifetime. So remember that. Tell them, demand a vote. Let's get Judge Kavanaugh elected. Let's get him let's get him appointed to his seat. Let's get that done before the November elections. It is essential we do this. Again, as with the previous discussion we had, please leave your comments, suggestions, feedback, anything else that you can think of in the comments below. Again, I will leave the link for that InfoWars article in the description below. Hopefully I will be trying to get these out weekly. Depends on what free time I have, and really if anything is major. And fortunately this week we had two very good topics. So I am hoping to see you next week. Again, please like and subscribe to this. Click that bell so you get notified when the new videos are posted. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next week.